streaming.
Oh, by the way.
Shh. Quiet. Today, on the Shrewd News Fuck, I didn't tell Danny that we were starting to stream, so he's just like, wait a minute, and then I'm like, no, we're done. It's started, it's over. So, today we're going to talk about a few different things.
Could have done this, the Dr. Evil thing. Zip it, zip, zip.
Enough.
Continue.
And this week in satire, we're going to address the warning signs for testing if you are a homophobic bigot. I think we fail. In the rants of the week, we are going to address how the left and the LGBTQ are coming for your kids stronger than ever, and they hate being called out on it.
It is tough.
Anyway,
out there.
And they will sick all of their powers on us.
Attack!
In Nothing to See Here, we're going to talk about Hunter Biden. Because they're going to try and cover this up, because they've already tried to cover it up, and they're going to try and cover it up again. But Hunter Biden is a scumbag. And then finally, in our douche of the week, we are going to address the douchiness of Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, because he is flat out calling for World War III and for millions to die. So, that's just fantastic.
No, he sounds like a great guy.
Just great. All of that and more on the Shrewd Dudes podcast. Yeah, we could just hear Danny smacking his water bottle. But
I have no idea what you can hear on the mic. I'm just kind of doing my own thing.
Anyways, so if you haven't watched our show before, or if you have and haven't watched in a long time, on Thursdays we do a live stream, and we do that so we can interact with those who are following us, those who are watching, those who are listening. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, commentary, any of the above, please take it to our Twitch page, which is at www.twitch.tv/ShrewdDudesCast. So I will try and address all of your questions in a reasonable time frame, but of course, not always possible. So while I do some shameless promotion, Danny, did anything interesting happen over the past few days that you can talk about openly?
That I can talk about openly? That is a loaded question if I ever heard one.
I know.
Well, I'm gonna go with the safe option here, and maybe I'll talk about it next week. But
sure.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like I think this week has been a super busy week. Me and Steven got stood up by a whole bunch of people from a games night. It's so sad.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody
not
on purpose.
Like that way. Not on purpose. Just like a lot of things happened, and like the games night was just like no, because I was like so looking forward to seeing people. I know.
No,
it's unfortunate.
I cannot share I can't share the live stream to our page. It just will not let me post.
To Facebook?
On Facebook, I cannot share from my own personal Facebook page to our... It's weird.
You're getting shadow banned.
Mark
Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg and his evil. Pretty terrible. But yeah, I don't know. Like, in the last week, I've had about like 3 separate game board nights, all of which were kind of like reduced from like the big thing I thought it was going to be to like just like a little tiny thing and all that. First one was like at a friend's house, we're like, yeah, we're going to play board games. Then it turned out into a potluck. Then into singing music. And then finally into like one game. And I was like, well, at least I got the one game in.
At least you got the one
and then
game.
Then last Saturday, I had like a whole bunch of opportunities to play some board games. And about like 4 different people bailed. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I still had a couple. So if you like board games, I'm game.
Indeed.
Slap me over, Brown. What about you, Ben?
Well, like my yesterday was not that interesting. Well, because board games was a little cut short. We still had fun with Josh. Today, my former foreman just decided to quit in the middle of shift. And so that really aggravated my current foreman. And I could see him from a distance, like at the edge of the roof, just like screaming and like throwing his hands up to the sky. It was marginally entertaining to watch.
Wow.
But I'm sure that he was just crazy pissed. So that was kind of funny, I will admit.
That's pretty crazy.
Yep. Well, when people just quit in the middle of the day or the middle of the shift, that's kind of awkward for everybody else.
Really?
Because it's like, oh, well, who's going to take over his task? Well, he will. Okay, well, who's going to take over his task? Well, you can. Okay, but I can't take it over forever. We'll figure it out. It's like, all right, sure. So, yep, the insanity of working in production and construction. Yay. But
it's a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we can't talk about that forever. So
you can't. What?
I know.
But I love talking about like nonsensical things that people don't care about, not talk about things that people actually care about.
Personal lives that are basically meaningless in the grand scheme.
But my life is mine. It's my own.
I know, and you are worthless.
Oh, you give me the Gollum treatment. Like,
I know.
But you don't have any friends.
Oh,
like,
good.
You're lying. No.
You don't have any friends.
No. No. Go. Leave now and never come back. No.
We killed
Anyways. Dirty little hobbits. Gollum.
Okay.
I did the Gollum pretty well.
Yeah, you did that. You did the Gollum snarl.
The snarl
but
is tough.
Now let's move on from talking about Gollum to homophobic bigots.
Yeah, which is just as
I'm sure Gollum would be a very, very pro-LGBT person.
It's like, oh yes, the LGBT they taste delicious.
Yeah,
Gollum would probably eat them. They're pretty vulnerable.
Raw and wriggling. Oh my gosh, this got really.
That's a good way to put it. That's
really inappropriate, really fast.
I think we've pretty much just proven.
Yeah,
we're definitely the
weird Lord of the Rings fans.
Oh yeah, very much so.
So from the Babylon Bee,
would be so proud.
Are you a homophobic bigot? 8 troubling signs. Very concerning. Brought to you by Kofefi. Make coffee great. Yeah, I noticed this lately. Talking about coffee for a second. Coffee hits different when you're old.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How so?
The start of the day. I have my coffee and I'm like, ooh, I have to go.
Oh, like it forces you to have to pee really quick?
It forces you to go number 2.
Oh.
And I'm like, I have to wait. I literally have to wait to have my coffee until like 5 minutes before sites, and then I'm like, drink my coffee.
Right. Okay. Just a little side note on that. I was reading something the other day that said that very thing. It said that there's some weird connection between coffee and your bowel movements.
Oh yeah.
And they don't know why. The doctors have not figured it out. They don't know why. They actually were like saying they don't understand what about coffee triggers that. But they know it's a thing. They just don't know why it happens.
It was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I know it's a thing, but they can't. Like apparently, according to the article, doctors say that they don't actually know what the connection is. But apparently, it also happened to Chad. Like Chad can't have coffee in the morning because it'll physically, it'll force him to go.
Okay, but yes, let's talk back about homophobic bigots. Being a homophobic bigot is one of the worst things you can be. It's just like being Hitler.
What?
To make sure that you're not a homophobic bigot, keep an eye out for these 8 troubling signs. If you show any one of these symptoms, get help immediately from your local trans person.
Yeah, and they will beat you to death with a love stick.
This would have been actually a hilarious story to cover about Biden calling Dave Ramsey for advice on how to pay off the debt. So, number 1, you did not show up for the midnight screening of Bros in full cosplay. You wore pants. Not good.
Everything. Not good. Yeah. That's just, you know what? That really is a crime. That should be a crime. Number 2, you don't really care for soccer. You're not a major fan of humanity's gayest sport. That's a huge red flag.
See, I would say instead of soccer, it would be the WNBA.
Yeah, pretty much. Or what do you call it? Like the ballet. If you're like, not into the ballet, like, what's wrong with you? You're clearly not.
Mm.
You're clearly like only into like sporty things.
Yep. Number 3, you're
Mhm.
married to a woman. You know who else married a woman? Yeah, that's right, Hitler.
That is true. Right at the end. Number 4, you order black coffee at Starbucks instead of pumpkin spice latte with extra whip and caramel drizzle. Black coffee is a gateway to the far right alt extremist right.
Although right now I actually do kind of want I think I've only had like a PSL once.
Pumpkin spice latte?
And it's been a long time.
Yep.
And like a PSL with extra whip and caramel drizzle actually sounds really tasty right now.
However,
I think I might adopt the Michael Knowles thing. Did I watch the Michael Knowles and Brett Cooper video?
Michael Knowles and Brett
yes.
Cooper? So good,
great.
Right? They did like a little taste test
like
with
best PSLs across Nashville.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was great. So you've never contracted monkeypox, not even once?
I haven't.
Once? Big yikes.
Clearly, you are not living enough.
Yep.
Number 6, you've only seen Rent one time. Multiple viewings are required to keep away the bigotry. To keep the bigotry at bay, I think it should be.
Yeah. I don't know what Rent is.
Rent is what do you call it? A Broadway musical that's also in movie form.
Okay.
So you can watch it, yeah.
All right, number 7. The Las Vegas Raiders are not your favorite NFL team. Come on, it's bad enough that you don't care for soccer, but now you don't like the Raiders?
Jeez, what's wrong with you people?
Like when I did semi-cheer for the NFL, which was loose even at its best, I did have a slight preference for the Oakland Raiders, but only just because I like underdogs.
Is it also
because when I was a kid, I think this was like 2002, 2003, the Oakland Raiders were playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. And I had a friend of mine who was like really hardcore cheering for Tampa Bay. And I was just like, to be kind of a bit of a twit, I was like, I'm going to cheer for Oakland.
Just for fun.
And then it was like kind of like, oh, what team do you cheer for in the NFL? I'm like, well, I guess I cheer for Oakland.
I guess they're fine. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to my love for my Leafs, in which the season starts a week from today.
You're so leafy.
I know. I found that my foreman is actually a Leafs fan too. And so I was just like, really?
Well, misery does love company, Stephen.
Yeah, that's true. Shut up.
And speaking of misery-loving company, number 8, you love gay people and treat them the same as everyone else, but you don't 100% support every single thing, one of their lifestyle choices. Disagreeing is hate. Bigot. How dare you?
Conquer Worm, that actually sounds like a really great drink of a walnut caramel coffee.
Walnut caramel, like walnut flavoring?
You just said it was a walnut caramel coffee, and it says it's great if you add maple syrup. So that does sound fairly interesting. Yesterday, to save money, I made a hazelnut hot chocolate in the morning. And it was good, but I missed my normal like French vanilla from Tim's. So I had that this morning. Shame on me.
It's fine. You're fine.
It's like my nervous tick. It's like, what do I do in the morning? It's like on the way to work. It's just like, get a Tim's coffee. Yep.
It's like you have like the ghost limb syndrome where you feel like you're like I feel like I have a Tim's coffee in my hand, but it's not there. It's like
it's not there. Oh no.
Oh no. It's terrible. It's a tragedy.
All right.
Well, that was good though. I like the I absolutely love the satire of the week. I actually look forward to it every week. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, it's great. Really
good.
It's always a good laugh. Babylon B is always quite entertaining, quite funny, and it's always good to start off with a laugh because often the stuff that we're discussing on the rest of the show is really serious, and we try and joke around about it a little bit, but oh my gosh, it's hard to joke around about like transing the kids and nuclear war.
It's nice to have levity to our brevity.
Levity to our brevity. I like it. I
don't know. I try. I like it a lot.
All right.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing, Steve.
Yeah, so now we're moving on to the I don't know. It's This is just dark crap.
Is this the rant of the week?
This is the rant of the week. Indeed, it is.
Hmm.
So thank you for reminding me so that I can put on the little rant thing.
Always here for you, brother.
I know. All right, let's go for it.
Red alert.
Alrighty. So, pro-trans group behind Virginia school walkout plans to rehome gay kids who hate their parents. Yay.
Rehome gay. That's called human trafficking.
Kind of is. So, Virginia pro-trans group with Democratic ties able to help gender-confused students leave their families and rehome them with new queer-friendly guardians instead, according to the internal materials obtained by the Daily Wire. The Pride Liberation Project, which should be burned in a fire, which also says it can give money to students who run away and hide from their parents, garnered glowing headlines September 27th when it organized 12,000 high schoolers to walk out of class to protest a draft policy saying that schools should not hide a student's gender transition from his parents. Though billed as being an organic group of high schoolers, taking the lead in the materials was Aryan Rawal, a college student who worked for Virginia Democrat state lawmaker.
Of course it did.
And of course, materials from the group's internal message board so that its plans to go much further than a walkout, a hashtag resources for outed students channel. So the group would help children run away from their parents and arrange for them to be placed with new queer-friendly guardians. We're creating this as a way for everyone to understand the mutual aid and support resources the PLP has available for outed and in crisis students. For full transparency, this channel is catered to outed students who are facing familial rejection or need to leave their home for another reason. In event of you needing to leave your home, we can provide you with emergency housing from a supportive, queer-friendly adult. He continued cautioning, please note that this adult will likely be white.
But it's not grooming.
Yeah, it's not grooming.
Definitely not grooming.
Yeah, that's...
Not in any way.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
Just imagine imagine if they did this with like Muslim children, and they basically well, we're gonna convert them to Christianity or to Judaism or to Mormonism, and we're not gonna tell their parents, and we're gonna remove them from their house and put them into like Mormon households so they don't have to tell so their parents don't have to find out. It's basically kidnapping. Like it's a form of kidnapping because
and of course, David Gordon, head of the Virginia Project, a conservative group that attract ideology in schools, says that it's irresponsible and reckless to the extreme to be doing this with other people's kids. The way this operation works is nearly identical to sex trafficking. This could never be underwritten. The chance of one of these kids ending up in a sexually abused, the chance of one of these kids being sexually abused is almost certain.
Yeah, do you remember that story here
Yikes.
in Alberta, Stephen? Where there was that GSA, and they took the child off of school property to a sex show, and they didn't. It was not a school employee who took the child off school property. It was some random volunteer that I don't even they've gotten vetted by the school themselves.
Messed up in the extreme.
That is how easy it is for them if they allow this kind of.
It's horrifying.
It is only time that would be the only limitation to how long would it be before some kid gets sex trafficked. Good luck. If you're a parent, you should be absolutely brutally outraged at that.
Yep. Well, and thankfully, not just in response to this, but parents have been starting to fight back.
Yeah.
And one of the primary examples is a story.
Red alert.
Sorry, everybody.
Was it going on and on?
Oh no! As soon as I went back to the story, then it came back on. My bad.
Oh, we're going extra ranty today.
Extra
Doubling
ranty
down.
Today. Super
Doubling
red
down
alert.
Super
Iowa
red alert.
mom dresses in drag queen's costume to address school board over drag queen show on school property.
Nicely done.
You go, girl. Iowa mom Kimberly Reichs. Reichs? I'm gonna go Reichs because it's like Reich, the Third Reich, but with a K. Is fed up with her local school board, and if it means dressing up in a provocative dress similar to that of a drag queen, then so be it. Reichs, who wants answers over a Meg drag queen show at Ankeny High School, showed up at Monday night's Ankeny High School board meeting wearing the same outfit as the drag queen, wore at that performance, and decided to give the board a piece of her mind. She stepped up to the podium and soon removed her jacket and sweatpants to reveal the black one-shoulder leotard with tights and black boots. Is this outfit appropriate for anyone here to see? Because if this makes your head turn, if this pisses you off, then it should. Because this guy walked into our school wearing exactly the same thing. And this is, of course, what she's wearing in this right there. And this is a close-up of what she wore. And she shows pictures of what that drag queen wore.
Lovely.
Oh yes, you are just great. That
is how you how you expose the ugliness that's happening.
Yeah,
and of course, secret.
Yeah, and that dance is so provocative in what you're showing to children. The school district, according to the Des Moines Register, allowed the Alliance to invite guest performers from the Iowa Youth Parade pageant. And of course, school administrators did not give approval for the performance in advance, and organizers did not follow protocol according to the Ankeny School District. But it seems like they didn't call it out, and it seems like they didn't decry it. It was just like, well, they didn't follow protocol, but we didn't shut it down. It's like, you should have.
Completely. You know what? When I used to be training in training for my teaching degree. One of the things that my teacher, the one that I was shadowing, he told me, he's like, Danny, when you're in a classroom or where you're anywhere you are, you always have to be ridiculously above reproach. You basically can never be in even in your classroom alone with a child. You can't be. You can't do anything that even hints or even like reeks of impropriety. Like you have to be so far above reproach on everything. And nothing like you can't let anything happen in secret because like it's important to avoid that. Here, everything is done in secret. When you do things in secret, that should be a sign that something evil is happening. You have to keep secret. That is very problematic, and this is exactly what is going on with like schools all over the country. They operate in secret. I should tell you a lot about the morality of all these things that they have to keep secret and keep them from parents in order that people don't find out. What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm just trying to see if there's an update.
It doesn't look like it.
No, I know.
So so the problem here is that like school drag, children being basically told not to talk to their parents and that they'll lie together to keep their parents in the dark. All of that stuff is sinister. This is the kind of stuff that like always screams of something going on, because secrecy is never a good thing, particularly when you're talking about vulnerable individuals. Secrecy is how you have elder abuse in those old folk homes. Secrecy is how you have animal cruelty happen when people do this in the dark. Secrecy is how you have children abused at home or by babysitters. It's all about secrecy. But apparently secrecy is like the modus operandi of all of these drag performers and all these drag activists, which is really, really concerning. But this is the world we live in right now.
Yeah, it is.
Right, Stephen?
Yep. It's really, really terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very scary. But thankfully, there
Great
are...
commentary, man. Good job.
I know. Thankfully, there are organizations which like to poke fun at these groups of people.
Which is the best thing to do, really.
Yeah, it is. So, going back to our tried and trusted Freedom Tunes for their take on all of this
all hail Seamus.
Rumor crap that they're trying to bring onto children. All hail Seamus.
Did you
indeed.
know every week dozens of innocent school board members are exposed to pornographic materials? Right-wing domestic terrorists are showing these public servants the kinds of obscene images that only 8-year-olds should be forced to see.
He printed out the images we showed the children and made us look at them. It was so disgusting. No one who isn't a grade schooler should be exposed to this kind of content.
These images truly are extremely disturbing. I have to blindfold myself before showing them to my kindergarten class.
I was absolutely horrified when I found out that the weird porn I draw was making its way into the hands of adults. What I create is strictly rated 18 and under.
When I saw It still haunts my nightmares. Who was there to protect me?
A lot of people have been criticizing me over parents being exposed to my work, but my question is, where are their children? Isn't it their responsibility to supervise the kinds of images their parents are looking at? Where are the children?
They, them are legally not allowed to know where the children are.
Public schools, so good, beautiful, and noble, that showing the public what we teach is an unforgivable crime.
Learn more at protectingpervsfromparents.com.
Yep. Great.
I wonder if that's an actual website. I'm going to look it up.
Oh my gosh, if that was a real website, that would be hilarious. But that's exactly how they think. It's just like, oh, we can't be shown what we show to kids. That's thoroughly inappropriate. Like, it's just horrifying. You can't be doing this. It's just, I remember the one lady was like reading out from the book that her child took out of the library. And they're like, ma'am, this is a public forum. We have to be appropriate. And she's like, are you serious right now? Like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally reading out what you have in your public school library. It's like, why is it inappropriate to tell it in front of the school board, which is mostly adults, whereas it's okay to lend it out to kids?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, ma'am, like, this is a public forum. We shouldn't be discussing these things. What? No. Screw you.
Freaking Rick. I actually found out the reason, Jack Posobiec or somebody like that was actually outlining the legal loophole that they're exploiting to do that. Apparently, there's a legal loophole that started off originally, like how like police officers have to patrol to find child porn offenders, and apparently in order for them to be able to view child pornography without being charged for possessing and watching child pornography, there had to be a loophole made in the law. But because that's a federal agency, that power, that loophole actually was able to extend it from a federal police force to school. And so schools apparently also have that protection to be able to kind of watch child, or to promote, or to have child pornography as well. And he said that the reason why they won't let you show it in a public forum is because at that point it's no longer under the purview of a school. So basically, they can actually be legally charged if they allow that stuff to be shown, because if they know it's pornography. But when it's in a school context, it's not pornography apparently to them. It's a weird legal loophole that they're hiding under. But anywhere else, because if you show that book, those pornographic children's books to a child at home, if you're a babysitter, you can be charged with some
serious crimes.
I think it's sexual interference, showing pornography to children. Whereas if you show it to them in school, no problem. That is the problem that's going on there. That is the nonsense there. It is insane, man. Insane in the membrane.
Insane in the membrane.
All right. So I'm thinking with this one, Stephen, we should just go through the stories one by one and not delve too deeply into the actual text. Just kind of cover them really quick.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Let's
go fast. Let's go fast.
Let's do it. Go quick.
Yeah. All right, so let's break into it. The news you may have missed, or talk about the news you may have missed. DeSantis outraged over looting by illegal immigrants post-hurricane. They should not be here. So said Tuesday that 3 of the 4 suspects arrested and charged with looting after Hurricane Ian were in the country illegally. These people are foreigners that are illegally in our country, but not only that, they try and loot and ransack in the aftermath of a natural disaster, said Mr. DeSantis, who recently has made headlines for shipping migrants to the state, or from his state to sanctuary cities. They should be prosecuted, but they need to be sent back to their home country. They should not be here at all. I did love a lot of the references where DeSantis was saying it's like, this is a Second Amendment state. You don't know what's behind that door. And a lot of people were putting up signs saying, you shoot and we loot and we shoot. Which DeSantis did not directly say, because then they would have accused him of racism, because apparently that's what somebody in the 1960s said, because for some reason looting is a form of racial justice or some shite.
Go Florida Governor Ron
DeSantis 2024.
All right, so from ABC News, the Satanic Temple takes aim at Idaho, Indiana abortion bans. Religious organizations have long been involved in debate over Idaho's strict abortion laws, with Catholic priests, evangelical Christian groups, and others frequently lobbying lawmakers and filing legal briefs in support of abortion bans. But in Boise, Idaho, religious, we've already covered that. Now the Satanic Temple is also weighing in. The Salem, Massachusetts-based group, which doesn't believe in a literal Satan, but describes itself as a non-theistic religious organization, sued Idaho in federal court late last week, contending that the state's abortion bans infringe on the rights of members who may want to practice the temple's abortion ritual. Our members hold a sincere belief that they can and they should have an abortion in cases of unwanted pregnancies. W. James Mack Naughton and the attorney representing the Satanic Temple said in a phone interview Wednesday. The organization filed similar lawsuits in Indiana last month and in Texas last year, and Mark Naughton said he wouldn't rule out filing additional lawsuits in other states. So the wonderful Satanic Temple and the Satanic group is basically trying to interfere in other states' crap.
Mm-hmm.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
Keep watching for that kind of story. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So,
stay away.
As we're coming along, I just read a update for the UCB election. So the first ballot, no majority winner was declared.
Okay.
So Danielle Smith is ahead with 41%.
I figured as much.
And then Travis Taves is behind him. Brian Jean is behind him. And then the only person who's been fully rejected and
Todd Lowen?
Nope, Leela here is out. She only received 1.65%. So they're probably just going to keep going. And I have a feeling that Danielle Smith will win when Todd Lowen is kicked. Because most of her secondary support will be from Todd Lowen.
That makes sense. That's probably going to happen.
So that's probably going to happen. So we will be updating you as it goes along, as it comes in. This will be some semi-live coverage of the UCP election. So, next story. Germaphobe Howard Stern leaves bunker for first night with friends since 2020. Came out of hiding to dine with a host of stars, including Jennifer Aniston, Jason Bateman, John Hamm, and Jimmy Kimmel. So the germ-fearing king of all media. That's a joke. Infamous germaphobe and COVID-fearing Howard Stern has been broadcasting from home since March 2020, went out to dinner in public for the first time since the start of the pandemic. He dined at his Israeli restaurant, Laser Wolf. Laser Wolf. That is a crazy name for a restaurant.
That's pretty crazy.
Fellow diners snapped a photo which showed the maskless Stern chatting with Ham as Kimmel sat nearby and submitted celebrity Instagram account Dumoy. Or Dumois.
Adoy, huh?
Yep, Adoy. But yeah, this is stupid. The fact that you haven't left your house in 2 years is shocking. How are you still even moderately saying, oh wait, you're not? But how would, I would go stir crazy if I didn't leave my house for 2 years and had everything delivered to my house for 2 years. Nobody was allowed to enter his house unless they had multiple COVID tests. So you had and he only had a certain amount of people allowed in per month. The lengths at which they went to try and avoid COVID was laughable if it wasn't so pathetic. But such is the state of our modern culture. These are the people that are celebrities.
Crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. But
here's something interesting that's happening in Las Vegas. So this is from the New York Post. Suspect in custody after 2 dead, 6 injured in stabbing attack on Las Vegas Strip. So apparently a suspect...
Danny, your video.
My video? Is my video off?
Yeah, your video's off.
1 second. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, no problem.
Apparently, I think my there we go. My Discord kind of timed out or something like that. Okay, hopefully that helps. Let's give that a try. All right, can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you now. All right, go for it.
All right, so as a suspect is in custody after a violent stabbing attack left 2 people dead and at least 6 others injured on the Las Vegas Strip Thursday morning, police said. Sheriff Joseph Lombardo said the victims were tourists and locals. Las Vegas police said during a press conference of the 8 victims, 2 were dead and 3 maintained in critical condition. A male suspect in his 30s was taken into custody, police said. A motive for the crazed attack is unknown. Earlier at the scene, Lombardo said a kitchen knife was recovered at the scene. The attack began around 11:42 a.m. local time on South Las Vegas Boulevard near the Wynn Casino, both major resorts in the city. Some of the victims were showgirls taking pictures with tourists, bystanders, and other news outlets. The suspect allegedly stabbed his first victim in what appeared to be an unprovoked attack before fleeing and stabbing more victims. The suspect was followed by concerned citizens who they called 911 for help, and the perp gave police his identity and claims not to be a local resident, but they're working to confirm that information. This is clearly tragic and hard to understand, hard to comprehend. Murder investigation that deeply impacts our community. So, basically, the as far as we know right now, it's looking like a weird, random stabbing attack all throughout, like, the Las Vegas Strip. I think the main thing, the big takeaway from this, is the fact that stabbing is every bit as dangerous as having a gun, as demonstrated here in Canada when we had like a basic like Canada-wide manhunt for 2 brothers who went on a stabbing spree as well. You can cause just as much damage with like knives as you can with a gun, so keep that in mind.
Yeah. Are we advocating for knife control? No, we are not.
No, not at all. We're advocating for dumb control.
Yep.
Particularly from the government.
Exactly. But yeah, I have no idea how to transfer from gun control to car bombing.
This is news you may have missed. So
I guess I don't really have to transition. So U.S. Intel concludes Ukraine was responsible for car bombing that killed Darya Dugina. Car bombing private citizens is what the good guys do. So U.S. intelligence officials concluded the Ukrainian government ordered the car bombing of the daughter of a political philosopher, Alexander Dugin. Despite Kiev denying responsibility for the attack, which took place in August, U.S. intelligence agencies have now concluded the explosion was sanctioned by parts of the Ukrainian government. The U.S. reportedly had nothing to do with the attack, of course, had no advanced knowledge, and chastised the Ukrainians when it was found out that they were responsible. The intended target of the attack was almost certainly Alexander Dugin, whom the Western media claims is a close ally of Vladimir Putin, yet has seemingly never met the Russian president. Dugin initially planned to travel to Moscow with the same car as his daughter, but ended up traveling in a different vehicle. Asked about the assessment, government spokesman Mikhailo Podolyak continued to deny involvement, telling the New York Times someone like Dugina is not a tactical or strategic target for Ukraine. So, yeah, this is...
Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine you
done messed up, bro.
You done messed up, and you're just making things worse. And then, of course, we're going to go later on when we talk about the douche of the week, about how, my goodness, you guys just want the world to burn.
Going full Joker.
Yeah, going full Joker, and it's crazy, and it's sadistic. It's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But it's a possibility that the Ukrainians may also be responsible for what happened in the Baltic Sea. So we'll find out more about that soon. All right, so this is from True North, the final story. Peterborough Public Health advises no indoor gatherings ahead of Thanksgiving. Lovely. Ugh, I love how they were bringing this back. So Peterborough, Ontario is telling people to stay masked and avoid indoor social gatherings this Thanksgiving, citing a very high COVID risk. I thought we were done with COVID. I thought vaccines were supposed to...
Didn't Biden just say that COVID was over?
Didn't he say that COVID was over somehow? And I guess people are just going to comply. So Peterborough Public Health issued an advisory warning Wednesday, upgrading its COVID-19 risk index. One-third COVID risk index moves to very high. Is that really her name?
Piggott?
Dr. Piggott? Piggott? We just call her Dr. Piggy. I'm just going to call her Dr. Piggy. Oh, yeah, pretty much. It's like, yes, our region is experiencing some of the highest COVID-19 case rates in the province. Ahead of the Halloween weekend, we strongly encourage everyone to be mindful of our most vulnerable residents through their pick. Oh, yeah. Apparently Kermit is just cringing and rolling in his grave. Our region is experiencing some of the highest...
Kermit, you sounded like Grover.
Well, it's kind of hard to do Miss Piggy and Grover. It's kind of like an overlap. Yes, Miss Piggy.
That's true.
It's very true, right? Our region is experiencing... Our region is experiencing some of the highest COVID-19 case rates in the province. Ahead of the holiday weekend, we strongly encourage everyone to be mindful. That would get so annoying so fast. Almost like thrown in the use. It would be so bad. I can do it, though, if I want to. Older adults, those who are immunocompromised, and those who have not received COVID vaccine are at high risk. That's been literally proven wrong by several studies. So, it's like they're a couple of years behind. Could be a high risk for severe outcomes due to a COVID-19 infection. Oh, danger! It's basically like Kermit the Frog, If you choose to gather this weekend, try to gather out. Okay, are you freaking kidding? They're still saying this. Go outside when it's cold, when it possibly is cold, to celebrate Thanksgiving, thus giving yourself a higher chance of getting sick from the elements. Great advice, you morons.
Yep.
Seriously. Seriously, I swear these public health officials have literally handed in their medical license and be like, we'll just tell us what to say, we'll say it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the big takeaway from this is we've learned, apparently Peterborough Public Health has learned nothing. Has taken none of the science, none of the things we've learned over the last 2 years into account. They're just like booga 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 booga. Watch out, Chicken
booga,
Little,
booga.
the sky's falling. Yeah, everything is just terrible.
Oh
my
goodness. Well, everything is
I know.
terrible. Everything is terrible. But
Everything is
thankfully,
awful.
there might be some
Everything is
hope on the
falling
horizon.
By the way, you got to do. You. That's what I was going to mention at the very beginning. You didn't get the nothing to see here thing from YouTube.
That's true.
You forgot that. That's right. Why don't you go get that?
Yeah.
While I prepare our wonderful audience for the inevitable coming story. So basically, whenever we do a nothing to see here segment, the idea is that they get mad at you if you so they do something something crazy comes out, and then if you point it out, they freak out. They're like, oh, why do you care so much? And why are you drawing attention? What are you, a bigot? Why do you care about this stuff? And then after it all dies down, they're like, oh, well, you were right about everything. And it's actually good now. It's totally okay. This is the playbook that they follow. So
okay, hold on.
What's going on? What's going on?
Please do, Conquer Worm. I have not seen the TikTok compilation of farmers showing how the government paid them to destroy their own crops. That's pretty nutty.
Oh.
So yeah, definitely share. I would be very interested to see that.
Yeah,
that's
if you
absolutely insane.
Where should he put it on Twitch?
He's gonna post it on Telegram.
Cool, sounds good.
So, something to look into in the future.
All right. Well, Steven, sounds like you have it all set up. So
yeah, I do.
What we got.
All right. So nothing to see here.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Yep, always great. Okay, so
I love that scene. So good.
Federal agents have enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with tax crimes and making a false statement while buying a gun. Bombshell report claims decision lies in the hands of the United States Attorney in Delaware. Sources told the Washington Post there is sufficient evidence to charge him. The president's son dates back years. He is being probed for potential tax violations related to overseas work. Gun purchase statement included attestation not to be a drug addict. Hunter has written and spoken about his struggles with crack. Image on his infamous laptop appears to show him smoking a crack pipe. No charging decision has been made. U.S. Attorney in Delaware is overseeing the probe, and of course Hunter disclosed the probe and paid tax liability in 2020.
What do you think the chances are he would have been charged if he was Trump's son?
Oh,
Probably
150%.
Almost like 10
Like
billion
more
percent.
more than 100%.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
1 million, because
1,000,000%.
like they will continue to come after Trump, but they will never ever come after Biden.
No, he's basically sacrilege. He's secret.
Yep. So, yeah, I think the chances of the feds coming after Hunter, nil. Like, there's no way that the White House and the Democrats would allow them to do that.
Well, the interesting thing here is that if you look at like how the DOJ the Department of Justice has been acting over the last year and a half, okay, since Biden took over, you see them going after teachers at school boards, actually calling them domestic terrorists and making big, huge declarations about how dangerous they are, right? But they don't investigate a child that was raped in a bathroom by a transgender student. They won't investigate that. Then you see them using their power and going after pro-life activists, that dad that was actually attacked a couple of I think it was a week and a half ago, and the whole they sent 20 agents towards him. But when pro-life pregnancy care centers and all sorts of pro-life charities get firebombed, vandalized, and attacked by radicals, no response from the DOJ. You have the former president of the United States get totally blindsided with a raid on his house, but you don't actually have real criminals, real political criminals being held accountable. The DOJ, if anybody really believes that the DOJ has not been weaponized in the last couple of years, it's like you're not paying attention. It is super obvious how one-dimensional and how one-sided their approach has been. And so right now, the reason why you can have confidence that the chances that Hunter Biden is going to get charged are low is because Hunter Biden is part of that protected group. He's under protection of his of his dad, who is the president of the United States. And so because the DOJ is basically nothing more than an arm of the government, they're not going to go after their own people. But what the story does show is that there's plenty of evidence that in more than enough material and evidence to charge him. So it's obvious that they are intentionally not charging him on purpose because he's part of the elite class. So this is like a justice for thee but not for me kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah, it's truly saddening that even in light of the absolutely obscene crimes that Hunter has committed, and we all know that he's committed, and the bribery and extortion and corruption that he has been directly responsible for, he will never face any form of justice. And his father, who was, by all relevant accounts, equally responsible for the corruption and the bribery and the money laundering, will never face any form of consequence for this because they are the privileged elite, and the Democrats and the Bidens have control over the establishment Justice Department. And so, they'll always evade problems, but anybody on the right, whether it be Trump or a conservative here in Canada, if you step the tiniest bit out of line, they will nail you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always trying to look for new ways to attack.
Yeah, and I think that the something that we should keep in mind here when it comes to Hunter Biden is that I know it's easy to try to feel bad for him, and I mean for good reason. There's a lot of reasons that he is he's an addict. Okay, so that's pretty much obvious. He has a very severe problem with addiction to drugs, crack cocaine, to all sorts of drugs. He most likely underwent like traumatic abuse when he was younger, possibly from his very skeevy dad, whom Hunter himself actually nicknamed Pedo Pete, I think it was.
Yep, Pedo Pete.
In like a phone record or something like that. So I'm like, and Ashley Biden, Biden's daughter, also outlined some very troubling,
really
and very
sketchy things,
serious, very sick things going on, where she's basically having showers with her adult father while she's a little girl. It's like really, really gross stuff.
Messed up.
But that being said, Biden is still Hunter Biden is still suspected of doing all sorts of duplicitous deals with China and with Ukraine. There's a lot of corruption, and none of this is by any means secret. There's been emails and communications with the Chinese government where 10% for the big guy pretty much indicates that Joe Biden has probably been in some very troubling deals. And the fact that Biden abused his influence to try to cover for Hunter when he was part of Burisma, which is Burisma, that Ukrainian energy firm, I think it was. So there's a lot of really underhanded things going on, and it sounds like the Biden family is incredibly corrupt, and that Hunter Biden is very much involved in a lot of these skeevy business deals.
Yep.
So you have to take that into account, that as much as this guy is a victim, he's also a criminal in a lot of different ways. And in particular, I remember when I heard that he's having indecent relations with underage girls, particularly one of them I think was his cousin, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think his cousin, a female cousin, was apparently, there's allegations that he may have been, I don't know, sleeping around with an underage cousin or whatever. So this guy is by no means, we're not just looking to railroad him just because to get back at Biden. We want some kind of justice, because this guy is actually responsible for some very illegal and very immoral things.
Yep.
And the fact that he's got a problem should not be sufficient reason to just overlook whatever he's done. Yeah. So let's hope for something good to come out of this.
Yep.
I really do hope that something good comes out of this.
Yep. Oh yeah. I hope that he gets charged, and that if the system was just, then Joseph Biden would be implicated, and that he would be immediately impeached.
Mm-hmm.
But that would, of course, lead us with Kamala. But, they're both terrible. So let's talk about the douche of the week. Close out the show. All right. So today's douche of the week is Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky calls for preemptive strike against Russia in speech to Lowy Institute. Ukraine's leader has sparked a furious response from Russia, which branded him a monster over comments made to an Australian crowd on Thursday. So the office clarified that he was not calling for a preemptive nuclear strike on Russia after a speech made by the Ukrainian president to an Australian audience on Thursday sparked a furious response from the Kremlin. He was speaking via video link to the Lowy Institute when he made the comments in response to a question from the think tank's executive director, Michael Fulilov. Mr. President, in your remarks you mentioned nuclear blackmail, the host said. Mr. Putin told us the other day he's not bluffing, so I may ask you to believe the likelihood of the use of Russian nuclear weapons against Ukraine has risen, and what more do you want NATO to do to deter Russia from using nuclear weapons? Zelensky replied that NATO should eliminate the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons. But what's important, I once again appeal to the international community as I did before February 24th. We need preemptive strikes so that they know what will happen to them if they use nukes and not the other way around. Don't wait for Russia's nuclear strikes and then say, oh, since you did this, take that from us. Reconsider the way you apply pressure. That is what NATO should do. Reconsider the order in which it applies pressure on Russia. And of course, in response, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Mr. Zelensky's comments are nothing but a call to start a world war, which would lead to unforeseeable, disastrous consequences. And he is not wrong.
No, not at all.
Calling for a preemptive strike between NATO between many nuclear capable countries. What do you think that's going to do? And it's like, well, like it means that Russia won't be able to use nukes. No, it means there'll be a World War III. And if Russia feels like they're in a pinch and they feel like they have no other way out, then they will send out the rest. Like, that's the kind of individual and that's the kind of regime that the Kremlin has. Where if they feel backed into a corner, then they're like, oh, well, mutually assured destruction isn't that bad. Like, as much as Putin is a dick, Putin is not demanding that the world go to war for him, for his people. Putin is like, well, I want Ukrainian territory. And this is now Russian territory. And yeah, that was a poor election. It was clearly corrupted. And there are issues all around with it. But I and the majority of the West do not want to enter into a war with Russia. And Volodymyr Zelensky is like, well, for the sake of Ukraine, everybody should be in a war with Russia with us, regardless of what consequences that may have. He does not care. It's all about protecting him and his interest, and frankly, his power within Ukraine. Like, this guy, and of course Ukraine in general, is quite corrupt. And they've been unreasonable since the start of the war. And they had an out. They still have an out. Negotiating a peace deal, unfortunately, there's nothing left for them to do except say, yep, we're going to give you the 3 territories in which you had that kind of fraudulent election over. But there's nothing we can do about it now. Okay, they're Russian, and those 3 territories form the line. We join NATO.
Yeah. You also see what there's a lot of like irresponsible, like, I mean, like, you know how like the left always tries to say, like, you know, oh, this dangerous rhetoric that the right wing uses and all that. That's always their playing card, right?
Yeah.
Like dangerous rhetoric whenever like the right, you know, anybody conservative makes any statement that they don't like. But what is actually happening both in all throughout like Europe and all throughout like even the United States is there are people saying really dangerous, reckless things that they shouldn't be saying. Like the fact that like Lindsey Graham was basically like, you know, caught on some kind of show. I think it was Fox News or something like that.
Yep.
He basically said that somebody should take out like, you know, like
someone should take out Putin. And then there was another dumb statement that he said.
Yeah,
there was another dumb statement. He said that the electric car rebate should be halted, and that money should be given to Ukraine to aid in their war effort. I'm like, of course. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You are trying to perpetuate nuclear war and trying to make it so that Ukraine, which is frankly kind of a dangerous nation right now, because what they're demanding is mass death. And I don't want to give them any more money, and nobody in the right mind should.
I think it's also like the other thing too is that, for example, like you like as a taxpayer, as an American taxpayer, Canadian taxpayer, whatever it is, you should not be on the hook for the government using your money or your wallet to have forced benevolence, right? If you like, especially like when people here are suffering. Okay, if you know, like this Christmas, this Halloween, what's going on?
Update: Daniel Smith won.
Whee! Cover that in a second.
Yep.
But this Christmas, I don't know, because I want to finish the thought.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the Salvation Army. They're gonna be out in the streets, and they're gonna be like, you know, like with Santa Claus and their little thing to donate to the Salvation Army, right? That's great. But when people are in the pinch and they're not making a lot of money, they don't have a lot of money to be able to give extra. Some people may be able to kind of pull it together, but it's going to be tough, right? However, our government is basically saying, like, you know, like, oh, we're going to send unlimited amounts of money, of your money, to another country instead of actually spending it on you, who are our own citizens who are suffering. It is brutal what they're doing to like the American and the Canadian and European citizens, where they're basically selling out their own citizens to fund a foreign war that they don't even have any like real stake in. It's basically they're pushing for this kind of like, you know, escalation of things, and they're making it obvious that they don't want to give Vladimir Putin an exit ramp, which is incredibly irresponsible. But it just seems like everything that people are doing is basically trying to guarantee that some escalation of the conflict will happen. Right, Stephen?
Yep. I'm just reading
All right.
these posts about, because I might have spoken too quickly.
About Daniel Smith?
Yeah, because it says the votes are not quite done yet, but let's be honest. The fourth round, she has 46.2%. Next closest is 31.9%. I don't see that gap being no way. There's 4 candidates left in, and I do not see Travis Taves getting 19% of the remaining 21.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be unreasonable.
Seems unlikely.
So, yeah, it's not official, but come on. Come on.
Do you think most of Brian Jean's votes will go to Daniel Smith?
Well, there's Rebecca Scholes left at 8.4%, Brian Jean with 13.9%, and Travis Taves with 31.
How much does Danielle Smith need to get to be able to win?
50. As long as she passes 50.
Wow.
She is 3.8% away.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So she needs 3.8%. Travis Taves needs 18%. So,
guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'd say it's a safe call. But anyways. Interesting. But
focus, Stephen. Focus.
Yeah, focus. Well, I was just reading a question or a comment by Conqueror. So, U.S. purchases $290 million of radioactive or radiological and nuclear emergencies drugs. So, I hate how the Hill does this.
What do they do?
Oh, they have this stupid little video. It always pops up as soon as I start to scroll. They are one of the worst websites for this. Sorry, everybody. Make sure the bite. Yeah, and I'm totally off center. You're like focusing on my wall. So the Department of Health and Human Services says it has spent $290 million on a drug to treat radiation sickness in the event of a nuclear emergency. I wonder why we're doing this. The HHS Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response announced in a Tuesday release that it bought the drug Nplate from Amgen as a part of a long-standing ongoing effort to be better prepared to save lives following radiological and nuclear emergencies. Acute radiation syndrome caused by exposure to a high dose of radiation can cause a number of symptoms. Severe cases can wreak devastating effects on the body, including a destruction of bone marrow and internal bleeding, according to the CDC. So, yeah, that's pretty sucky. And the United States has bought a whole bunch of these drugs. Poland and Kiev. In Poland, I think it's in Krakow, and in Ukraine, in Kiev, they're handing them out on the street.
Well, they're not exactly expensive. These are very cheap.
No, they're very cheap. But that's the concern that these organizations and these governments have of nuclear war. And, of course, Ukraine and Volodymyr Zelensky in particular is only heightening the stakes. And he's just handing a lit match. And he's like, anyone going to take this? Anyone going to take it? Anyone want to blow this powder keg open? It's like, you sick, demented man. All you're doing now is campaigning for death. And we're not having it. You're a douche, man. You're a douche. But now that's why he's the douche of the week. And now we're going to have a quick chat about the UCP election.
Well, if you actually go to like Rebel News on Rumble, it looks like Daniel Smith won.
Yep.
Yep, I think it's official. I'm watching a live
Okay,
feed right now. It
I can go
looks like she
to.
won.
Dang it, I did that.
Go just go to Rebel News. It's just Rebel News, and then go to live.
Yeah. So subscriptions. Yep, she's speaking.
You won.
Yeah, she won.
I'm back.
All right, so Alberta now has officially a new premier.
A new premier.
And Daniel Smith.
Yes. So, we of course, both you and I, would have preferred Todd Loewen, 100%.
Todd Loewen
was a great, strong candidate. He was very pro-freedom, very pro-democracy, anti a lot of the kind of big government nonsense.
COVID crap.
Yeah, COVID crap, very socially conservative.
Yeah.
But it's hard for someone to win like that. And I hope that he becomes a fairly decent, sizable member of her cabinet.
I think that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
He was basically shunned by the Kenney government.
Like the Kenney government told him to go take a hike.
Yeah.
And that was exceptionally sad.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it was amazing to have an MLA who was actually like legitimately standing up for people in the province, even though he didn't have a lot of power. He was still kind of a loud voice of opposition, which was awesome. So I wish Todd Loewen the best. I always knew he was a long shot, but it's nice that in Alberta, and particularly in a lot of these elections, because it's a what's it called, a progressive ballot.
Yeah,
where it just got it keeps going on. You can actually vote for the people that you want.
Yes,
and
well, it was like that way. It was like that way for the Conservative Party of Canada election, but it didn't need to happen because Poilievre smoked them.
Yeah, but in the election before that, when
in the election before that, the rules actually kept Leslyn Lewis from winning because the rules were skewed in favor of like more kind of bigger, more lefty, because the rule system is all about the ridings. And like you could tell Leslyn Lewis had more votes, but because it was based on the ridings and how many points they got out of 100, then Erin O'Toole skipped past her.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I thought it should just be like, you're a member, you pay for your membership. Each member has an equal vote. And it's not like you're voting for, okay, I'm going to vote for this MP so that they can like bring the policies that I want to my district. No. You're voting for the next candidate to be prime minister. And so every member that pays into it should have direct democracy and saying, yep, this is what we want. And of course, this is what happened in the UCP election. There were over 80,000 ballots cast for all the various candidates. And now, of course, Danielle Smith has won. She wasn't, of course, our first candidate, but she does support a lot of the things.
Yeah, she was a close second.
She, of course, got removed from, Bell Media? Because she was too open and saying, like, the stuff that they're doing and the COVID policies that they're enacting are wrong.
Yeah.
And that they will cost a lot of problems in the future. And I respected her and admired her for that. I think she has a lot of gusto in saying how she's going to stand up to the feds. I know that my brother was very anti Danielle Smith because of her Alberta Sovereignty Act. And I'm like, if it puts the vice on Trudeau's balls, go for it.
And here's the other thing. If she wins, and let's say Poilievre wins the next Conservative Party election or whatever, that's going to all work together for Alberta to actually get a better shake, because Poilievre, like Stephen Harper, has roots in Alberta. And so that means that, there's going to be a lot more open conversation and negotiation. Now, the real question, obviously, that you need to ask is, like, sure, a lot of people are going to be very happy with Smith being the new UCP leader. The real question is, can she beat
Notley?
Can she beat Rachel Notley? Now, there was a political an analyst, a commentator, who basically broke down the logistics of how the Alberta election works, and basically the way that Alberta works in terms of how to win is you have to win 3 places. You have to win Edmonton, you have to win Calgary, and then you have to win rural Alberta. That's how the demographic breakdowns happen in Alberta. And they basically analyzed all the candidates. Apparently, Brian Jean does amazingly in rural Alberta, and
which is kind of weird.
Well, I know it's odd, but apparently that was his strongest support base.
Okay.
Danielle Smith seemed to do best in Calgary.
Yeah.
But rural Alberta was kind of split on her.
Yeah.
And so it seems like Notley is likely going to dominate Edmonton. So that's
of
pretty much
course.
a given.
Edmonton has always been, especially central Edmonton, has always been an NDP stronghold.
Yes. And so what that means is that in order for Danielle Smith or Brian Jean to win, they basically have to get some decent support in Edmonton, and then essentially outright win, if not dominate, in rural Alberta and Canada and Calgary.
Well,
they were saying that
what I know,
they were saying that Danielle Smith may not actually have the edge in Calgary as much as Brian Jean might have. That's what they were saying. So I'm not sure where they got these, but it's based on balloting and voting. Yeah.
Of course, there is time. The next Alberta election, Danielle Smith has, of course, said that she's not going to call an early election. So the next election will be between the end of March and the end of May.
Basically, close to next summer.
Yeah. So anytime in there. So she has about 6 months to truly show what she has and show what she's going to do for Albertans.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% confident that she'll be able to turn things around, but I think that she'll be able to make I'll be able to make some steps. You and I were both big UCP supporters when they beat the NDP in 2019. I was ecstatic that they won. I remember being at Goodwill the next day, and this one lady was like, "So, are you upset that Rachel Notley lost?" And I'm like, "Nope, I got blood in my veins, baby. I wanted the NDP out from day one."
Yeah.
And any day, and I think I speak for a lot of these UCP conservative voters, I would take Danielle Smith over Rachel Notley every day.
In a heartbeat. In no way, yeah.
It's not.
I would actually vote. I would if you present a corpse, literally on a table, I would vote for the corpse over Rachel Notley. Over
Rachel Notley.
That is how little I like the NDP and Rachel Notley.
Truly horrifying.
Yeah. But the big thing with Danielle Smith is that I'll believe it when I see it with her. That's my approach. Because Kenny was all talk.
Yeah.
And when they all came down to it, he was not
when things
at all.
Hit the fire, then he just went with the program and put pastors in jail and allowed people to lose their jobs and mandated vaccines and all these things, which he said he would never do. And yet he did anyway. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. He buckled. He buckled like a $5 tent in a light breeze.
Mm-hmm. So Danielle, it's time for you to make your pudding. Yeah. I'm hoping that you can make a good, strong pudding to stand up to the feds, have it filled with all sorts of good stuff. And
you're really leaning into this pudding analogy.
I know. And then those who will eat the pudding will vote for Alberta independence. No. But that is I would much prefer Alberta to leave Canada. The problem is, of course, is that Canada's had a terrible leader since 2015. Yeah. And we've had 2 elections since then. Both of them reelected him. Yeah. The United States, you look at 2022, you look at the the midterm election season for Congress and the Senate. By all accounts, it will be a blowout for the Republicans. 2024 looks like it's going to be a blowout too, because Biden is a joke.
Well, Biden's likely not going to run again.
Oh no, he likely won't run again because he's not mentally capable of running again.
Although I've heard rumors that Hillary Clinton might run.
I have heard that too.
And I've heard that
be like a rematch of 2016.
Gavin Newsom wants to try again.
Yep, Gavin Newsom wants to try again. Of course, like Pocahontas wants to give it a go, but gig probably.
I think Bernie Sanders is out. He's probably
too old and too ornery.
Yeah, and he's tired.
I am once again asking for your support.
That's a good thing.
Red lights are a good thing.
Exactly.
It's like, no, they're not, dumbass.
What a guy. So yeah, we'll see. But good on Danielle Smith. I hope that like I said, I'm willing to give her a chance, see how she does. She's kind of like, I think she's kind of like Trump in the sense that you'll see how effective she is when
she's in office. Yep.
Whereas Ron DeSantis,
he has a proven track record.
He has a proven track record, so we know for a fact that he's an excellent president if he actually got.
Well, like when it comes to the election, like we'll have 5 or 6 months of Danielle Smith, and then we'll be able to have more of a concrete. This is what she's done. This is what we support. This is what we didn't like so much.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just like the night that. Well, a little more hopeful than the night that Trump was elected. When Trump was elected, I was just like, I remember making this post, and I actually had like several people unfriend me.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, I'm happy that Hillary lost, but I don't know what to expect from Trump because he's a bit of a loose cannon, and I don't know whether he's going to be good or bad for America. And I had people that were like, how can you support him in any way? And I'm like, I'm literally saying I don't know what to expect. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, unless you outright condemn him, you're supporting the evil that. I'm like, shut up. You're being dumb.
That's pretty crazy.
Yep. So we'll see. It's all up in the air. And I know several friends that are very, very happy and several friends that are very, very mad. So it'll be interesting talking to my brother on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Because he's going to be like, Danielle Smith. This is for you, Nathan. This is for you. All right. So that's going to be the end of today's show. Bit of a shorter episode today, but just the way things went. Yeah. So if you're following us on our video platforms, such as YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube, of course, like, share, comment, subscribe, everything and all of the above. Let us know how we're doing. Unless you're a racist or a Jew hater, we don't want any of that crap. I will delete you. I am so freaking tired of it. I'm tired of every time I post a video on YouTube on BitChute that even mentions like blacks or Jews, and they're just like, I'm like, shut up, shut up, grow up.
That's so funny.
The world has rejected you because you're a moron. You're following us on our text platforms such as Facebook, Getter, Twitter, and Parler. Then, of course, everything that I just said above and beyond. Like, share, comment, subscribe, comment, follow, echo, blah, 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 whatever. You know what you're doing on those platforms. Otherwise, get the frick off.
You're not going to be like those American, like the guy from Bros, be like, like half the country, I don't want you to see my movies. Like, okay.
No, I'm just like, if you don't know how to use the platform you're on, learn it. But if you do know how to use the platform that you're on, use it to promote our content because it is wondrous and amazing. Yay. That being said, Danny, sign us out.
Hi, we are the Shrew Dudes, and as always, we like to. Why be rude when you can be shrewd? Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I guess we'll see you again on Tuesday Newsday for our weekly roundup of all the news stories that happened over the weekend.
Yeah. And of course, thank you to those who participated in the chat. It was enlightening. It was encouraging. It was fun.
Yeah. Nice.
So we will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. And as always,
God bless.